Okay, hope everybody had a good break. We're going to have a series of speakers now. First, Dominique Hazael-Massieux will be speaking. He's the activity lead of the Mobile Web Initiative, and he's going to talk about using the web as a platform and how one device can influence another. We'll have John Goodale, Senior Vice President of Unity Games, and he's going to share his thoughts on how Tizen is good for game development. And then we're going to have Juggs Ravalia. He's Vice President of Yandex, and he's going to discuss how they're using Tizen for their APIs. But first is Frederic Dufal. He is the Technical Director at Orange, and he's here to share and explain why Orange is launching with Tizen. Please welcome Frederic Dufal.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. It's very nice for me to be introduced by a journalist from NPR because I studied at Stanford for my master and I was listening to NPR all the time. So thanks for welcoming me on stage, and it feels good to be reconnected with the Valley and NPR somehow. So my name is Frederic Dufal. I work as technical director for devices. So my role is about introducing all new technologies in the devices that will be sold to Orange customers. And my objective today is to explain to you why we support HTML5 and Tizen, not exclusively but very intensely, who is Orange, and how you can have an opportunity to leverage Tizen and build great applications for our customers. We are focused on Europe and Middle East and Africa for most of our operations. But before I talk, I presented myself, and I'd like to know a little bit more about you. So could I ask to raise the hands to all of those of you coming from Europe? Quite a good number. Okay. People coming from China? Wider China? Okay, great. Japan? Interesting diversity. Korea? Okay. California? Rest of the United States of America? Wow. Okay. Anywhere else in the world? Yeah, great. Okay. I'm great you came. Because I hope Tizen someday will also be delivering great stuff for emerging markets and especially for Africa, and we are very active there. So thank you for coming from such a diverse areas in the world. We think Tizen is about diversity, and you're just a proof of that, so that's really warming. So going on, I'll talk to you today about who is Orange, so you know where I talk from, why we like HTML5 and Tizen, that we are preparing to launch, and what's the opportunity for you. So Orange starts from the customers. We are really a customer-centric brand. Our role is to make people's life easier, to give more people access to the digital world, to make it easy to connect, to make it easy to use the services. So we build services that are simple, accessible, reliable, and responsible. We like to offer also security on your personal data to respect your privacy. And all this has resulted in Orange being one of the top 50 brands in the world from the rankings. So we're quite proud about that, and that's thanks to our customers and to our ability to listen to what exactly they want and what they need. Now, we serve 231 million customers worldwide. Large majority of those are mobile customers, 172 million customers, so that's quite many people. Huh? It's about the population of the US aged between 21 and 65, so that's quite many people. We sell them with 7,000 physical points of sales and 170,000 employees who are putting their talent at the service of our customers. Orange is one of the main European operators for mobile and broadband internet services. We operate for those services in 32 countries, which is part of them in Europe, part of them in Middle East and Africa. And we think it's a great ability to help many more people get connected. We have revenues of $56 billion, half of that being on mobile activities. And our strategy is to integrate business performance and social performance by investing in our people, in our networks. We invest a lot on connecting the world with cables, undersea cables that especially can connect more countries to great internet. And we have innovation also around our networks, around our customers and international development. This being said, we are quite keen on innovation and innovating for our customers. We got a series of awards for services we've launched, the most innovative service in Africa, COM Awards, the best application for Do Some Good by the Guardians, best global operator and best cloud services for business from World Communication Awards. So our innovation is recognized, and in fact, we invest a lot for our innovation. We invest more than $1 billion per year, and that is done by 5,000 people around the planet, basically on 4 continents. We have people very nearby in San Francisco. We have people in France, the UK, Poland, and Romania. We also have researchers in India, China, Japan, in Jordan, in Egypt, in Tunisia, and in Ivory Coast. So, and we tap the talents, this diversity of talents from much wider than our own geographical footprint for mass market, because we think innovation is also about using the diversity of talents and ecosystems, and also geographical ecosystems. Basically, our researchers have filed more than 7,000 patents, almost 300 of which last year. So this was basically to present you who is Orange, and now you know a bit more who we are. I'd like to tell you why we intend to launch Tizen this year. First question before why launching Tizen is why launch another OS? There are quite some successful OS around, so why do you like to add a new one? And there are, in fact, several reasons to that. But the key reason is that we think that competition in general, offers more choice to our customers. So we've seen that in the world of telecommunication. We've seen that between the OEMs, etc. And we think that it is good to keep a diversity of OS, because the more OS there will be, the more innovation there will be, because there is a kind of competition for keeping ahead. So as such, we feel a new OS is absolutely welcome to help have more diversity and more innovation, because we think our customers benefit at the end. We think all platforms are important, so we like all of them to be successful. And we think some key criteria of what we believe will make platforms most successful is how open they are, how you all have an ability to contribute to that. And you've seen Tizen 3.0, how all this is open and you can contribute to that, and you're welcome to do so, as a great, great sign of this openness for Tizen. Another aspect which is important in openness is not only your ability to contribute, but it's also the ability for OEMs to differentiate their devices, the ability for operators to differentiate by providing some services on the platforms, etc. And we like the fact that Tizen is very open for that. Everybody can differentiate, and Tizen doesn't impose you some business rule that you should do this and you shouldn't do that. Yet it does impose some pretty strict non-fragmentation rules, because it is important for you when you develop that the platform is not fragmented. But these rules are based on purely technical criteria and not on business criteria. So the question of these rules is really to make sure you have portable applications and not to make sure some services are disadvantaged over others. So you all play on an equal footing. So all that is great, and that's a key reason why we like Tizen. But the second one is HTML5. In fact, we love HTML5 with its potential to become a platform where you can develop for many OSs at the same time, because it will simplify your life and our life. And when it was in Portland 2 years ago, Intel explained to me how HTML5 would be the key language for programming in Tizen. It was quite a bold move at the time, and a bold ambition. And I think it has played a key role in also moving HTML5 forward, because it has pushed everybody to do better with HTML5. And what our developers see, so among the teams I've spoken about before, we have developers in the UK, in Chiswick, to whom I want to pay tribute, because they're preparing all the customization for Orange. So they've been developed on Tizen. So they've been doing a lot of HTML5 development for our applications. And from their learnings, we really see how you can drive development costs down by being able to reuse the code of HTML5 very easily. We see also how it shortens your time to market, because you can develop more quickly and port to other platforms very quickly. The performance we are getting is fairly close to native, and the gap is narrowing. And also, it makes a very effective use of standards, because if everybody relies on the standards, the life is easier for everybody. So basically, they've proven that most of the application can be built in pure HTML5. I'll tell you a bit more on that later. And we find as a way that HTML5 is great and is a good reason to support HTML5 in general and Tizen in particular. So one example of an application, that one is called Orange et Moi, Orange and Me, and it's a self-care application to allow you to know where you're on your bundle and some support on things you want to do, etc., ordering things online, knowing where you stand, etc. And this application has been developed by two of our Chiswick developers near London, and they've done it all fully in HTML5, and then for Tizen. And then we had BlackBerry 10 devices to launch, and they just took the Tizen code and they put it on BlackBerry 10, and it worked in question of hours. So they really saw how portable it is, they loved it, and they've done more. They've tested how it could work across many different types of platforms, and they've basically seen it works very well on iOS, on Android, on Windows Phone 8, even on Google Chrome, on PCs, based on PCs and Macintosh. So the portability has been tremendous. And themselves, they say that, sorry, I have something to read, so I don't disform what they tell us. But they told me that before Tizen, they didn't take HTML5 or web apps so seriously. They thought it was nice on paper, but probably it wouldn't perform so well. But after they've started building the Tizen applications, they noticed it really worked well. And it also worked well on the other platforms. So it has fully changed their mind. And today, they are strong supporters. And you can see some of them downstairs. So please don't hesitate to have their words directly downstairs here. OK. And also, so HTML5 is today a true platform for developing applications. You can really leverage it. And Tizen is at the forefront of that. So I've told you why HTML5 is great. Now, why Tizen? Well, first, because Tizen has excellent support of HTML5. Tizen is the very first. You saw the 492 figure over grade over 500 earlier this morning, and I'll show you that to you again later. It is the very best browser available around, and it is pushing the other browsers to do better. So when you do something on Tizen, first you use the best, and second, you help the other improve, because at the end of the day, we want everybody to be as good as possible. So also the portability to Tizen of web apps and from web apps Tizen to any other web app is extremely easy. So many good reasons based on HTML5. Other good reasons is Tizen is very open platform, but also technically mature with the best telecom standards in it. So for us, we really see that as the most credible option for a new OS that will be successful on worldwide on the telecom and smartphones market. So that's why we like it very much. We also know that they support very well the requirement from OEMs and operators. We have a Tizen association, which is a kind of big focus group where we discuss of what is needed for the success of an ecosystem, which is kind of guiding the Linux Foundation. They're fully independent and they can do what they want. So there is no, it's not about telling them what they should do, but it's about advising what is good things they could do to make the platform even more relevant. And I think there is a strong support. You see most of the members or all of the members are sponsors here. And when you see all the names of the sponsors of this conference, it shows many companies in the world are interested in Tizen and in supporting that. Last and not least, there is full freedom to differentiate. There are objective tests against fragmentation, as I said, and it's quite easy to work with. Our developers tell the development tools are very mature and quite good, so I hope you'll enjoy them as well if you have not started to use them yet. So in a few words, openness, essential, key, and Tizen brings that. Innovation, they brought HTML5 to the forefront, and there are many more innovations in Tizen which we'll enjoy. And ability to differentiate for everybody, because we like a world which is diverse. You're diverse in the room. We like the OS to be diverse, and we like everybody to be able to use the smartphones in the way that best suits their needs. Now, I've told you why we love HTML5 and Tizen. I have to prove this love, and we prove it by telling you we will launch Tizen devices this year. And then I'll tell you your opportunity there. So we intend to launch Tizen devices in what we call the back-to-school period. So that's basically the end of the summer. So our customers can enjoy these Tizen devices. We are not only focused on Tizen. I mean, we have Android, iPhones, etc. So there is no exclusivity there, but we are very happy to bring this platform to the market, and we'll do that intensively, so just after the summer. We think it will be good in two ways. First, by the value it brings in itself. Second, by the challenge it brings to the industry, by showing that some more stuff is possible, that more openness is possible, that more freedom to differentiate is possible. And so we really wish our customers will love that, and we'll have more and more devices coming on. This launch will be on some European countries and will then expand. And we hope that in the longer term we can expand and use Tizen to democratize the access to the internet and to smartphones in our emerging markets, especially in Africa or Middle East, where not everybody can afford the fancy smartphones, which most of you probably, well, all of you, I guess, probably are using today. So to show you how the type of work we're doing, I show here basically 5 of the applications we've been, the Chiswick team have been delivering. TV d'Orange, I will come back. Orange Daily is like some news consolidation. Orange Wednesday is about telling you everything on the what's going on the movies and what's going on in the movie, which movie you can see the film you want. And you can also get a second ticket for free when you buy one at the movie thanks to these applications. Orange et Moi is the application I discussed about on self-care. And Orange Wallet is about contactless transactions secured by the SIM card. To be noted, all of these applications are written in pure HTML5. Except for some specific elements of the wallet, which have been written in a native element. So that's an hybrid application, that's one, where most is written in HTML5 and some specific code is native. And all the rest has been fully written in HTML5. I spoke of Orange et Moi earlier. I'll focus a little bit more on Orange TV. It's an application basically that allows you to see the TV channel on your smartphone. And as a result, if you're not back home when the football game starts or whatever, you don't miss that. And our customers love it and use it quite a lot. It's, for example, a very popular application in France, for example, but we also have it in other countries. And so for Tizen, it was a test on, we didn't believe that application could be developed in HTML5 because it has quite advanced features. And we gave the challenge to our R&D teams in Chiswick. See how far you can go in HTML5 with that, and then we'll decide if we need more. And they've been able to do the full application in HTML5, and it works very fine. And not only they did it for Tizen, but all the same as I explained for the other application earlier. When we needed to put TV on BlackBerry, we just reused that application and put it on BlackBerry, and it was a question of hours to make it work. So it is easily portable, and it's another proof how HTML5 development on Tizen is easy and then works well to expand on other platforms. So you know we will launch. We are quite keen to launch that aggressively basically end of the summer. But I want now to finish by telling you what's the opportunity for you. Our focus is in Europe for this launch. So you understand that there are some more local content, etc. And I speak here especially to the European people in the room, but not only, because we also have many people living in Europe that come from other parts of the world or speak other languages or are interested in other languages. And global content is also of high interest across Europe. So please take into consideration the variety of the world and do a variety of applications to fit all kinds of needs. Second, we start gradually, so the initial launch is in Europe, but over time, as I've said already, we hope to be able to bring some affordable Tizen devices in all our geographies. So for you, 492 over 500 is quite a great mark. You've seen that earlier. And these are the figures of the benchmark of the basically browsers available on the market. And if you look at that, so that's the grade for Tizen, 492. And if you look at that, Tizen is here. and all the pack is trying to run behind. An earlier version of Tizen was here, and have pushed everybody to move up and to take HTML5 more seriously. So there is a tremendous advantage for you when you work on HTML5 on Tizen, that it is the platform that allows you to take the best of HTML5 in a very standard way, and as a result, you can then expand it to other platforms. It's pushing the other browsers to improve and to be compliant, so it's helping the whole industry to have great HTML5 platforms. Our developers in Chiswick near London are very enthused by what they could do and the tools and everything, so that's a very good development tool, a good reason to start with Tizen. Also, our customers love applications. And so the sign up here is to show you how you can help us and we can help you. Basically, when we launch the device, we'll help you reach many of our customers. And when you build applications, you help our customers to be more happy about the experience, because they buy this device also to access all your applications. And so with the new platforms comes the opportunity for a new ecosystem. And through that, it means more visibility opportunity for you. The first applications that are available in a category, they are much more seeable on a new platform than when they are in the middle of sometimes a very packed shop where if you're not seen very well, you might just disappear in the middle of the pack. So on Tizen, you'll have quite a substantial number of applications at the beginning, but there is still some room for lots more innovations to come in and for an opportunity to be very visible for you, as Mark said already earlier today. And I want to reinforce this opportunity, not only for global applications, but also for local applications. We develop quite a few applications for our customers, and to give you an idea, our customers have downloaded 50 million of the Orange applications in 15 countries globally, and they're ready to pay for good applications. I mean, our customers, we estimate, they spend a few tens of dollars on each smartphone they buy just for enriching it with applications. And most of that money goes to basically the people who've written these applications. So on Tizen, probably in the initial days, it would be fewer applications than what you have on ecosystem which are established since a much longer time. And so it means this money they will pay will be spread in a fewer number of pockets. So please take your opportunity. Okay, so I want to thank you for listening to me. I hope you will enjoy developing on HTML5 and on Tizen as much as our team have. I'm great that you contribute through that to the diversity. You have a fantastic job. Developer, to me, is one of the most fantastic jobs in the world, because what you have in your mind, what you write, becomes a reality in the hands of millions of customers, and it can be the reality you shape the way you want it, and we want it diverse, and so we're happy that very diverse developers will look at the Tizen platform and help make it very successful. We like it because it gives more choice to our customers, because more choice to the customers, we believe, is what is our ultimate mission. And so I'm, as an internal customer, very keen to use your applications on my device when we launch it at the end of the summer. So I hope to see you through your application on my device in a short time. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Hello, everyone. So you have the chance to have 2 Frenches in a row. I hope you'll appreciate having a bit more of a French accent for 20 more minutes. I must say that each time I give a talk abroad, I have this bad feeling for the person that has to announce me. I have this terribly long name, and a name that, French people manage to say, but people outside of France usually simply don't. And I work in a very international organization, so from Dominique Hazael-Massieux, I've just told people to simply call me Dan. The thing is, this international organization I work for is WCC, the World Wide Web Consortium. So could I ask for a show of hands of who know what WCC is, very quickly, just to... Okay, so that's a fairly good amount of people. So WCC is the place where web technologies get defined and standardized. And so we've heard a lot about HTML5 so far, and that's in WCC that HTML5 is being defined, as well as a number of other technologies that at least those of you that are developers will be very familiar with, CSS, JavaScript APIs, SVG, and so on and so forth. But there is one of these APIs that WCC has developed that, again, developers will be very familiar with, and which is called DOM, uppercase DOM. And my email address, as you can see here, is dom@wc.org. And in some cases, it's a good association. People tell me, you have the coolest email address in the world. And, well, it's nice and short. And, the DOM, it is this technology that enables you to do so many cool things on the web. It's an enabler. It's powerful. So that's the kind of association I like. Other people say, the DOM, the WCC DOM, it is slow. It's not very efficient. It's fairly ugly. And, that's the kind of association I don't like as much. So to be on the safe side, I think on Twitter, on GitHub, I'm known as don't call me Dom, uppercase. But that's probably enough about my names and my contact information, although I hope you'll get to make use of them. I'm here today to argue that we are hearing a lot about HTML5 and about the web. What I'm going to argue is that the web has a very specific role to play in this world of connected devices we're living in. We've all heard the expression, we are in this post-PC array where connection and the shape and the diversity of devices is completely changing our interaction with our digital lives. And I guess the point I'm trying to make today, and the point that for those of you that can't stand to hear 15 more minutes of French accent could simply recall, is that when it comes to getting user experiences on connected devices, the web is the platform. It's not one of many platforms. It's the only solution you can rely on. And I'm going to try to explain this into more details and also try to illustrate it with a few demos. One of these demos is so experimental that it's likely the gods of demo will strike me. So if you have any trick to get them on a good mood, I would certainly ask you to start using these tricks now for the demos later in this presentation. So we've heard already quite a few times in this conference that there is this struggle in the industry between iOS and Android, trying to take the top of the podium. Some people would argue that iOS makes more revenues and Android has more devices. And I'm sure that many of us are here today to get a feeling of where Tizen will fit in that podium. Will it take the third spot? Will it even get higher on that podium? And Tizen is fairly well positioned for that for sure. It has pretty good backers. It has a lot of support from the industry. But if you look at what the press and the analysts currently report, if they had to put something on the third step, it would probably be HTML5, which really is a shortcut for any cool web technology out there. And my day job in WCC is actually to look at what it takes to make the web the best platform out there to develop on mobile devices. Being on the third step is not that bad. Many people would love to have their platform up there. Of course, it's not sufficient. As my boss always reminds me, we need to go up one or two more steps. And I'm actively trying to get there, and one thing that I'm hoping to get out of this conference is a lot of feedback from you guys that are actually developing with HTML5. Get me feedback on what is missing, what is making your life more difficult than it ought to be compared to native applications. I'm right in the middle of this big WCC push in trying to establish our comparative advantages, but also weakness compared to native applications. So, all in all, it's good. It could be better. We are working on making it better. But the third spot for the web is not a bad spot to be at. But what I'm actually going to argue today is that putting us on the third step is actually making a boundary error. It's looking at the wrong scope. And, of course, everyone is very excited about mobile devices, tablets, phones. They completely change the industry landscape in the past few years, and there are plenty of good reasons for that. They are mobile, so they can be with us everywhere. They are pretty much always connected, and they have all these sensors, so they are a very exciting platform. But when we talk about the post-PC array, I don't think we've really meant, yeah, after the PC, there is another mobile. I think that's, way too restricted in what the post-PC array is supposed to be. And my take is, while mobile devices are very likely to remain at the core of all these connected devices experiences, to be the hub of our interaction within our digital lives, I think the landscape of connected devices is much broader and is also going to expand over the coming years. And of course, we are still using our computers. I see a few of them with your laptops, and I brought my own laptop. You could probably have recognized that this laptop was from me with this nice HTML5 logo on it. And we're going to continue to use these computers. But it's not only computers that are connected on mobile devices. We've heard a lot that Tizen is also going to be available on TV sets, and there are already a bunch of smart TV out there that are connected devices. They become smart because they are connected, because they can interact with the rest of our digital lives. They become smart devices. And we heard earlier, cars are getting connected, and it's another space where our digital life is going to expand by making it possible for us to again interact within our cars with all our assets that are digitalized. Game consoles have been connected for a while, and we're even seeing appearing game consoles that are almost completely virtual, where you play games that are hosted online and you only get to see a video stream with which you interact. E-book readers are connected. You get your e-book from the web without even thinking about it. They are connected devices with which we interact. Music players have been connected as well, so that you can download new music and get recommendation and all this. Cameras are getting connected. You take a picture, you want it to go online, you do that from a single device. I've seen a few of you with glasses that are connected, so this is a very emerging market of connected device, but it's an example of the kind of expansion we can see in this world of connected devices. And there are even watches that are getting connected and light bulbs that are getting connected. So what we are seeing here is a very wide expansion of the market, of the world of connected devices. And clearly, when you look at this broad market, you can't possibly imagine having a different application for all these devices if they don't within a single operating system. So I'm sure many people here would be really glad if Tizen was to overcome the world and be on every connected devices out there. But it's probably not going to happen in the next year or two. I mean, it probably needs a bit more time. And maybe it will never happen if we are realistic. I mean, unless we all want to buy the same device from the same vendor, it's likely that this profusion of operating system we've seen will continue over time. And as we've heard earlier, it's actually a good thing. Having competition in this space is extremely important to get new innovation, new devices that completely change the way we interact with the world. And so if you look at this, you look at this landscape of devices of different shapes, with different operating systems, with different constraints, with different capabilities, then the only answer, the only possible platform that can actually be used across these devices, and it won't be much of a surprise to you, is really HTML5. Or the web, really. I mean, actually, most of us should start update our slides because WCC has started work on HTML 5.1, so HTML5 will soon be has-been. But that's beyond the point. HTML5 is really the illustration of this open web platform on which we are all investing. And I guess my point here is that it's very important for us developers to understand all these devices, to understand all the constraints they come with, all the advantages they bring to our end users. It's very important that we are able to tweak these devices, to explore them. It's very important that we are able to focus on them. And Most of us love getting new gadgets. I'm sure the 500 devices that are going to be distributed today will, go in a rush to all these developers wanting for a new gadget. But the fact that we love this gadget, the fact that we understand this gadget, the fact that we are able to deep dive into them shouldn't make us forget that the device is a tool. It's not an end, it's not the end goal. It's a mean for the users to achieve something, a mean for the user to interact with their digital life. And the important thing about that is, no user wakes up in the morning saying, what will I do with my iOS phone this morning? Or what will I do with my Android tablet this fine afternoon? Or what will I do with my Tizen vehicle today? What people do is, of course, they want to watch a movie, they want to play a game, they want to read a novel, they want to, exchange pictures with their friends. And all these devices, no matter their constraints, no matter their specific capabilities, no matter their specific physical design, should be here to help us achieve our goal. If I have my mobile and that's the only device I have, that's the device I should be able to use. But if I'm in my car, I should be able to use my car to achieve that very same task. And that's where the web is the platform for making all these devices connected. And it's not just a matter of having devices that can get online, which is great, but it's more than that. Connected devices is not just devices that are on the internet. It's devices that can work together to help you achieve your task. I mean, I don't know about you, but my in-laws always yell at me when they come at my home to take care of my children one of these rare evenings where I can go out, because they tell me, how are we going to watch TV? And smart TVs are great, but my in-laws are not able to make the TV setup box work with the TV, and they get mad at me. So what we need really is to have these connected devices that are able to work together seamlessly, breaking the boundaries that we artificially create with these devices. So devices divide. The word device actually comes from the word division, dividing. But our digital lives don't need to be divided along these lines. They don't need to be divided along these artificial boundaries that devices bring to the line. And one thing that the web already allows you today is to break up these boundaries. And I guess I'll try to do a few demos, and that's where we'll see if your prayers to the demo gods have been effective. So let me. Network is not playing well with me. So what you're supposedly seeing is that as I am drawing on this phone inside a browser, what I'm drawing is appearing on this device inside another browser. So what I've built here is a very simple, with just a few lines of JavaScript. I've been able to bring these two devices together, bring the capabilities of this device, which is a device with a touchscreen, which this device doesn't have, with the capabilities of this device, in particular being connected to this giant screen in front of you. And by putting them together, I'm creating a new user experience that basically bridges across devices. Of course, it would work better if the network was more friendly with me. But I can assure you that in good network conditions, this actually works fairly well. So I don't know if the network will let me do my next demo, but it's always worth trying. So let's see. So I could ask you to simply stop any network activity in this room, but by that time, I guess my keynote will be over. Okay, I guess I won't have much luck with that one either. So anyway, what I wanted to show, and what I will be inviting you to come see after my talk, because obviously the demo gods won't be with me today, what this was supposed to show is that when I move this device, again, still using simply my web browser, using just a few lines of JavaScript, using off-the-shelf technologies that have been published by the OCC quite some time ago, Well, this HTML5 logo you see here should animate itself. So maybe you will see that when the network gets catch up with my interactions. But I guess what I'm showing, what I would have been showing here is that, again, by using devices that are connected together, you create new user experiences that simply wouldn't exist outside of the web. You know, this device has a small screen, but I can move it in every direction I want. And by doing this and combining this with this other device that has a bigger screen, I create an interaction that simply didn't exist with the two devices kept separately. So I won't even attempt my third demo, which was even more network intensive. What I wanted to show you, and again, what I'm hoping some of you will come and see me to see live, is the usage of WebRTC, which is one of the most exciting technologies that are being developed right now in WCC. So WebRTC, Web Real-Time Communications, is about setting up peer-to-peer connections between web browsers and allowing the communication of audio and video media streams as well as data across these peer-to-peer channels. And when you think of this technology in this context of this multi-devices world I've just described you, then this ability to take whatever is on this device, stream it peer-to-peer to another device, is really going to be a game changer. And so this demo I would have shown you is actually an augmented reality demo running inside the web browser across the two devices. And again, if you're interested to see that, please come and see me after the presentation. Now, you may be asking, this is a Tizen conference. This is not the web conference, so why are you annoying us with all this stuff about the web? And the reason I was invited and the reason I gladly accepted the invitation is that I think Tizen is on the forefront when it comes to embracing that vision. We've heard about Tizen targeting all these devices out there. We've heard about how Tizen brings a real good web rendering engine to the market. And we've also heard about the fact that, in Tizen, web applications are first-class citizens. It's not something you can run if you don't have any other choice. It is one of the primary platforms with which you build applications in Tizen. But the commitment that I think Tizen is making to that vision, to that goal, is even stronger than that based on my vision of what's happening in WCC. Because it's very easy to do an open source project. Many people have done that, many people will do that. It's also very easy to make an open source project that is actually closed. It's very easy to associate the word open with with a closed environment. And where Tizen, I think, is setting the bar very high is that it's not only that they're using HTML5 somewhere in that platform. It is that they are bringing to WCC all these nice JavaScript APIs they need for their platform to get them standardized, to get them adopted by a much larger set of people in this field. So there is only one other platform that is doing the same thing. It is Firefox OS, which right now is purely on mobile. And the only other player that has made such a strong commitment to that vision is Tizen at this point. I certainly hope they will inspire many more to follow that suit. But I guess this is why I'm here. This is why I'm very strongly encourage you to play with this web application in the Tizen framework, get feedback to us, to WCC, to Tizen on what we could do to improve. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, everyone. And my name's John Goodale, and unfortunately, I do not have a really cool French accent. So, in fact, I was born and raised in the Los Angeles area, and currently have a home and a family in the Pacific Northwest, and people tell me I speak with a Midwest accent, so I don't know where that comes from. But I manage all of Unity's business throughout Asia. And 日本語はできますが、残念ながら英語はちょっとしかできません. So I speak Japanese, but unfortunately just a little bit of English. So I suppose with all that, it ends up being a Midwest accent somehow. But yes, I do run all of Unity's business throughout Asia. We've got 5 offices out there, and I spend about 300 days roaming around that territory. Just to get a little bit of background about you guys, how many of you out there, by show of hands, develop games? Okay, not too terribly many. How many of you know what Unity is, by show of hands? Okay, quite a bit more. Still quite a bit who don't know about Unity, so I'm going to start off by giving you a little bit of information about who Unity is. But first of all, I'm going to talk about the title of my keynote speech here, ubiquitousness. It's everywhere. Kind of an odd title for a keynote speech. But just to give you an idea of what that's about, I'm going to talk about some things that have become so ubiquitous in our lives that we hardly pay attention to them. We don't pay attention to how they got there. We really just kind of take advantage of them. And you may be wondering why, by the way, the VP of Asia is here at the Tizen Developer Conference to talk. And I'll tell you that the reason for that is that within Unity, I've been one of the biggest advocates for Tizen support within our company. And so I'll talk a little bit about that as we go along. So to give you some idea of what Unity is, my first bullet item here is perhaps a little bit controversial, but we are the #1 game engine and development tools in the market. Now that's a bit controversial because I'm sure that other engine makers will say, no, we're #1 or we're #1. But I'm going to qualify that by giving a couple of following metrics. Some engine developers may say, no, we're #1 because of this metric or that metric. But by the following metrics, we believe we're #1 in this space. So first of all, we've got 1.8 million users worldwide. Now, other engine and tools makers say they have 600,000 or 1 million or 1.5 million, even 2 million. I've heard lots of different numbers out there. But we believe what the more important number is, that we've got more than 400,000 active monthly users. And so they use Unity actively every month, which is a huge number. And in fact, our analytics data suggests that every month worldwide, there's more than 5 million hours of creative work done by our licensees worldwide. So it's a very, very heavily used engine. In fact, last year, Game Developer magazine did a survey and found that more than 53% of mobile games are powered by Unity. And last year, in fact, Apple named 17 Unity-powered games to their Best of awards. And in fact, The Room was named Game of the Year for iPad. So a lot of really cool content on the platform. And another thing that we're quite proud of is we believe we support more platforms than any other game engine. There we go. So just a few of them there, and we'll talk more about that as we go on. But now I want to talk about the goals of the presentation. So my goals here today are to inform us a little bit about this industry, about our industry, and how it compares to some other interesting industries. And then I hope to inspire us to more fully support Tizen. But perhaps more important than all of that, I want to have a little bit of fun along the way. And I want this to be a little bit lighthearted while being able to get you to think and just kind of have some fun with this. And I want to start out with a short anecdote. And so once upon a time, there were 2 fish swimming around, and one said, "How's the water?" And the other one said in reply, "What's water?" And the point is, we've become so accustomed to some things around us that we hardly pay any attention to them. Now, how many of you out there with 10-year-old kids thought that I was going to say, the second fish was going to say, "Whoa, a talking fish." So I'm sure your kids have said that. So the point is, though, that some things have become so commonplace that we hardly know them. We hardly notice them. For example, one such industry is cars. Now, there we go. Ward's research indicates that there are now more than 1 billion cars worldwide. However, unless we're in that industry, we give very little thought to the value chain that put all those cars on the road. Although, I think we all think that it sometimes feels like every single one of those billion cars is on the 101 freeway and the Bay Bridge right here on our daily commute in San Francisco. So, but with 1 billion cars on the road, there's lots and lots of car manufacturers. And I'm sure I've missed some. And not only do you find a lot of different brands of cars, you find a lot of different types of engines fueling these cars. You've got fuel injection, you've got carburation, you've got diesel fuel, you've got gasoline cars, you've got the rotary engine. In fact, Mazda had their Wankel rotary engine. I don't know what it is, just a really cool word to say. But you've got all these different technologies running cars. But the point is, and the bottom line is, the market for cars is huge, and there's room for a lot of players. So I say, jump on in. The water's warm. But here's another interesting industry comparison. Toilets. Now, this is probably a first. First time ever you've been at a developer conference and you're going to hear in a keynote session somebody talking about toilets. Is it a first, right? The United Nations tells us that there's 4.5 billion toilets worldwide. In some ways, that's probably good. It's 4.5 times the amount of cars on the road. So chances are you won't have to drive very long to find a place to go. Sorry, bad pun. And thank goodness my assistant did this research because I had no idea who the players are, but there's a bunch of different players in this space too. And as she was doing this research last night, I said, come on, certainly there's got to be more than 6 players in this space. And it was getting late, and she says, come on, John, I can't wait, I gotta go. Sorry, not you. The guys aren't awake yet. Sorry. Sorry, a groan, yes, sorry. So she's really got a crappy job, so, but before you start thinking this has no applicability to you as a developer, have you seen some of the advanced toilets today? Something to think about? A user interface development opportunity? Who knows? But the point here is the market for toilets is huge. So I say, jump on in, the water's warm. Sorry. Thank you. Again, bad pun. But seriously, how many of us ever think of this business? We don't. It's so ubiquitous, we never even think about it. So 4.5 times the market for toilets than cars. But an even bigger market is cell phones. In that same UN report, told us that there are 6 billion cell phones worldwide. We have more cell phones in the world than toilets. Part of me says we need to get our priorities straight. And as you can see, there's a lot of manufacturers. And I'm probably really upsetting someone because I probably missed some here. But there's a lot of manufacturers. But But again, the point that I want to make here is that the market for cell phones is huge, and there's room for a lot of players. So again, I say, jump on in, the water's warm. But let's drill down from cell phones even a bit further. Let's talk specifically about smartphones, because we have 1.5 billion smartphones in the world today, and that number is growing very rapidly. In fact, most analysts predict that by 2018, there will be 6 billion smartphones worldwide. Seems like an awful lot, but just here in my own self, I've got my BlackBerry, I've got my iPhone, I've got my Galaxy. Just myself, I've got 3 smartphones. And some analysts say that by 2018, every farmer in China and every bushman in Africa will have a smartphone. So it's an explosive industry. It's growing very rapidly. Even today, in the US, 51% of phones sold today are smartphones. And so it's growing very rapidly. But by comparison, there's some interesting things to think about. Anybody recall what happened in 1976? A lot of different things happened in 1976. I was 10 years old at the time, so it kind of dates me. But Apple I was launched, the world's first PC. And it took 36 years to reach a peak of 1.5 billion units. A lot of the industry believes that the world peaked in terms of PC installed base last year at 1.5 billion units. It took 36 years for the industry to do that. Now, it's arguable that the first modern smartphones came about in 2003. And I know this was my first smartphone, the Handspring Treo, if anybody remembers it. So in just 10 years, we've hit that same 1.5 billion milestone. And like I said, in another 5 years, it's believed that we'll have a global installed base of smartphones of 8 billion. 6 billion, sorry. So 4 times as many units as PCs in less than half the time. So that means at least an 8x growth pace, which is a phenomenal amount of growth. So again, the market for smartphones is huge. There's room for a lot of players. Jump on in, the water's warm. So I say, jump on in, that water's warm. And last night, in the opening session, one of the questions was asked, with existing mobile platforms already, why support Tizen? I think I've demonstrated here today that that market is huge. And in fact, it's bigger than all of these huge markets that exist today, markets that have become so ubiquitous that we don't even give them any thought. They've become such a part of the ecosystem that surrounds us that they've become part of our lives and we hardly think of them as unique. There's not just room for 2 or 3 or a handful of players, but the market possibilities extend as far as we can effectively execute. So that's why I say, jump on in, the water's warm. So what are these smartphone users actually doing? They're playing games. So Juniper Research indicates that mobile will become the primary hardware for gaming by 2016. In fact, last year there were 21 billion game downloads. That's projected to grow to 64.1 billion game app downloads by 2016. That's what these are doing. So where does that lead Unity? Unity has supported iOS since 2008. We were a very early supporter of Android. And we have an author once, deploy everywhere development environment. As you see in this little screenshot here, what you do in Unity is you build your application in Unity in that common environment, and then you merely select which build platform you want to build to. If you want to build to web player or PC, Mac, or Linux, or iOS, or Android, or the consoles, and more, as I say there, you merely select that target and build your game to that target. So we support today, or have announced support for, more than a dozen platforms, including Unity for Tizen. And I'm happy to report today here at the Tizen Developer Conference that Unity will be supporting Tizen. And in a press release going out at noon today, we say, Unity, which combines a high-powered engine and deep yet intuitive editor, takes the pain out of development by making the transition between platforms as easy as a click of a button. Supporting Tizen furthers Unity's quest to empower developers to deploy their games to as many platforms as possible, allowing creators to focus their energy on designing the best and most entertaining experiences. So what does this mean? Unity will be supporting Tizen as a build target. We have teams today porting the engine and tools and some content. So there will be some Unity content available for Tizen even before the tools are ready. Some Unity games are running on Tizen today. Unity for Tizen, the tools, will be available later this year. And here you see logos of a bunch of different tools that we're supporting. So what does this mean for the community? What does this mean for carriers? It means that you'll have access to thousands and thousands of games. And to see just a few of those, we're now going to run a video. It's a reel that we put together for the Game Developers Conference here in San Francisco just a couple months ago. Take it away. So in parting, I want to issue you the challenge to create great games, and in keeping also with the Linux Foundation, and also because Unity shares this same value, I want to encourage you to give back to the community. And with that, I thank you very much, and I'll be happy to take questions certainly after the keynotes here, and my contact here, information here is here in case you want to contact me. Thank you very much.
Good morning, and welcome to the Tizen Developer Event 2013. I'm the last keynote presenter, so it's always the person that needs to connect all the concepts and all the great discussions we've had in the early keynotes. I'm Juggs Ravalia, and for the most of my career, I've been in mobility, and now I work at Yandex at our Palo Alto office. So I'm sure all of you by now know something about Tizen. It's open source. We love open source. Most of our projects are on open source. It's standard-based. We promote standards. We love standards. That's why each one of us is able to communicate with a cell phone regardless of the carrier and the network. And it spans across a multitude of devices ranging from tablets, infotainment, and maybe in the future, the restrooms that are just up on the slide. But I don't know how many of you know about Yandex, so I'll take a few minutes at the beginning to tell you a little bit about our company. So just by the show of hands, how many of you have heard about Yandex? Quite a number, thank you. So Yandex is one of the largest internet companies in Europe. We support the largest search community in Russia, and we operate not only the most popular search engine, but the most visited website as well. We are headquartered in Moscow, Russia, with offices in several parts of the world, including Yandex Labs in Palo Alto and an office in Switzerland. And our services are offered in the CIS region, and we just recently launched our services in Turkey as well. We are globally in the terms of having a global search index, and we trade publicly on NASDAQ in the US. Over the past decade, we've been the leading search provider in Russia, holding up to a little more than 60% of the search market share. We serve nearly 200 million search queries a day, and we have 95 million unique visitors monthly on our site. We see ourselves as a tech company, so even though we have more than approximately 5,000 in our team, the majority, more than 3,000, are engineers working on web crawling, machine learning, ranking, and many other web technologies that can fuel powerful user experiences. Currently, Yandex is absolutely seen as one of the search providers in the world, but I've put up a slide to just show you some of the local search providers and some of the global search providers across the world. This slide here is to show you two broad concepts. The first concept is about choice, and the second about local experiences. So choice is important in that the end users get more powerful and much better services at the end of the day. But it's able to also fuel local experiences that help solve local problems of the daily user. Just 2 weeks ago, I was in Europe, and I realized that some of the search services or the web services in Europe were just not as good as the services that the Russian market has, and it's because of competition. So this slide might think it's just purely about competition, but choice and competition are able to drive innovation and a dynamic ecosystem that keeps up each alternative solution at the very best that they can offer. And this is exactly the same with mobile platforms as well. This slide is to show that it's not just about having a presence in local, but once you launch some technology locally, you're able to take that innovation and provide a global baseline offering. Of course, there'll always be the smart people, the smart developers, the smart companies able to take this basic innovation and enhance by providing local solutions. But this slide shows that we do have a global index that we've crawled globally. And we provide this global index asset in form of a rich content APIs. So the developer comes to us with a URL, and we're able to tell you a lot more about what the URL means, the metadata of the URL, what it connects to, what's important. And a lot have been talked today about HTML5 apps. With HTML5 apps, you can use our rich content APIs to build powerful user experiences. In fact, we also house in safe browsing APIs, so we know which URLs are safe. And this ties very closely to the concept of security in Tizen. Yandex, as many of you haven't heard about, we are a leading technology company, and even though we are a brand within the CIS market, we see ourselves as a technology company globally. And there are a good number of technologies that we've brought to the market. There are a good number of technologies that we're building. And since the early days, search engines have embraced machine learning technologies. Imagine where you're getting 200 million search queries a day, and half of these are absolutely unique queries. Then the search engine has to make decisions based on its past experience. That is, it's got to learn itself. And this machine learning technology, even though different search engines will employ their own such technology, we call ours MatrixNet. And MatrixNet is able to take a wide range of factors, and we're talking of tens of thousands of factors, to help increase the relevance of such results. Our behavior analytics technology is called Crypta, and is also based on our machine learning technology. We've got machine translation, we've got geolocation, and we've got many other web services that I can drill into. But to focus more on the mobile parts, there's a lot that has been told in the keynotes about connectedness. There's the support for various devices, and there's connecting the various forms of data to provide powerful experiences. This is where our technology comes in. Big data has become a big buzzword, but there's a lot of reality to big data. We're used to processing web-scale data day in, day out. Our big data software service is called Yandex Tables, and it employs the MapReduce processing paradigm. And on top, we give the Yandex FML, which is the big data analytics, so that you can get the value of the big data that your companies, the developers, would like to address to add value to the various verticals in today's industries. We also have a multi-platform mobile UI engine that used to fuel SPB Shell, for those that have already familiar with, on multiple other platforms that has worked with operators and OEMs alike. So when we come to mobile, Yandex has a good slew of 27 mobile applications ranging from navigation, maps, mails, disk, you name it. Indeed, the question is, we are a mobile company. Even though we focus a lot on the cloud helps us build really powerful user experiences, and 90% of the internet users in Russia use our navigation and maps, for example. So to tie in all that has been said by the keynotes today, I'd love to somehow bring a few concepts together and tie them to the power of the cloud. And to start with, we believe in the concept of think big, start small. And so we'd love to think globally, but we've got to act locally. And once you act locally and you address a particular problem, the market works pretty well in taking whatever has been learned and scales it globally. And this, we believe, is important for mobile users, for the entire ecosystem, to bring the dynamic power and the intelligence in the world to each one of us combined. So one of the concepts that was discussed today was about the Web Dynamic Box runtime framework, that you're able to do powerful on the real estate of your home screen. So here, we just show how, using our APIs, you could build a good concept of seeing all the different data on your right on your home screen. So you've got your core apps, you've got your weather, you've got your stock trades. In fact, using machine learning, we do traffic jam prediction in Russia. So even the media, the TV, the radios in Russia will say that today's traffic jam index is X, where the X is given by Yandex prediction technologies. So using this is a good just concept of saying you can improve this not just on the smartphones and notebooks, but think of the cars. It's just at a glance you provide the overall information in a very powerful way from all the different web services combined. But there's even a much simpler concept on phones. So we'd love to call this the localized experience. So smartphones have grown much intelligent, but the dialer is such a core piece of everyone's smartphone that there's still a lot of room for improvement. When you look at people trying to source for information and go from point A to B, there's still a lot of ways that we could improve it. And here's just a concept of what we think could be done to the dialer. So you launch your context, no one really remembers the numbers anymore, and you start typing for what you're searching. So we start filtering your context first, but then we soon realize that you might be interested in something more, perhaps a pharmacy. Knowing your location, we're able to filter right within your dialer the pharmacies that are close to you. And this is the next powerful thing that Tizen supports, not just native apps in C and C++, and not just web components in CSS, JavaScript, and HTML5, but hybrid apps, where you can bring the two concepts together. And so you're able to resolve and show the map of the place, where you are, how to get there, with a few more metadata about the place. And with the endless context book that we have, not only can you add this number, but if somebody were calling you, you'd be able to resolve it right on the fly to know exactly who is calling you, from where he's calling you, whether you should save this, whether you should call back, whether it's high priority. So this localized experience just shows one of an example of taking advantage of the powerful hybrid apps concept of Tizen with the cloud services to build good experiences. And the last piece, which I'd like to touch bases here before I try to summarize the talk, is about the Tizen store that was talked today. So we are writing apps for Tizen. We are bringing our maps, navigation, trains, metro onto Tizen so that the Tizen users have a good way, the basic fundamentals of using your smartphone. In our domestic markets, we create the maps ourselves. We bring the point of interest into place. We have the navigation. The traffic conditions in our domestic markets are quite intense. We do a lot of prediction. And we also give to the people using public transportation an easier way to get around. But rather than just continue talking of the concepts of Tizen, one important piece that I wanted to say was that choice. We at Yandex, working day in, day out with global competitors, feel is extremely good. There's a good saying in the paradox of choice that autonomy and freedom are crucial to our well-being. And choice is also good for freedom and autonomy. When there's choice, the end users will pick the right player, what suits them. This helps bring a free market, and a free market helps build competition. Competitions ushers in innovation, whether it's local, that can then be harnessed globally. And when we talk of innovation, one of the best assets of innovations are the developers. There's only so much that actually one company or a handful of companies can do. In fact, the mass majority of mobile users are the agents of innovation. If you study them, you'll figure out numerous ways of helping solve real problems that we face day in, day out. Since companies are not dispersed so well to study these problems, it's the developers that are in close knit with these end user communities. And each one of you, with your own user community, is able to study the users, build very innovative solutions, and come up using numerous technologies with ways to give solutions to the entire global mobile ecosystem. So we feel choice is great. We feel end users are great agents of innovations, but without the developer ecosystem, there is no good way of connecting the dots to harness the intellectual power of the masses. And this is the power that the next generation mobile ecosystems have been able to build to improve and transform lives globally. And in short, by just connecting all this, we've realized at Yandex that even though the global competitors that we compete with in our domestic markets, choice has been good to keep everyone energetic, to keep innovations in place, and to raise the bar day in, day out. And in that, I'd like to thank all of you for coming to the keynotes. Please enjoy the show, have an eventful, productive event, and see you at the breakout sessions. Thank you.
Can you hear me? Is my mic on? Yeah, so that's it. I believe there is a rating session that you can take part in. We urge you to do that. Enjoy your lunch. This has been an interesting discussion, and I'm excited to see more competition for operating systems in the mobile market. So go to it, make apps, make stuff, and thank you.